in the ministry of a Mashiach, which consists of teaching, which has been compared to a song, you have some that just can't get with the beat, right? Different individuals who pretty much help make up an orchestra. They can't get with the program. They can't get with the orchestrators orchestration, which is to make everything, sound good and be on point, and have each individual on point that has to work with the other individual next to them. Them being on point or sounding on point or coming off on point to where the lyrics that have been wrote and are to be expressed in the way they was been wrote and the way they was desired to be expressed is determined by the individuals. But each individual has to understand that the performance of that, which they help play a role in, right, how well they do that comes down to them being subject to, the one next to them, which the orchestrator continuously throughout pushes to them. And you have some that just obviously wouldn't be a fit for that if they can't get with that, which you see in this ministry. You have some that just can't get with the beat, and they'll end up out of the ministry, aka, which is spiritually likened to an orchestra, basically. Sirach 21:14. The inner parts of a fool are like a broken vessel, and he will hold no knowledge as long as he liveth. So you have some that has this very thing told to them, right? This very knowledge revealed to them in the ministry of the Lord, and they just can't get with it. It's just what it is. Before I get into this call, I'm like Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wahara Chakudash, double honors to the whole like elder apostles and elder bishops at the great millstone church, Lord willing, slave to be saved. Shalom to the rest out here under the same doctrine and order according to the scriptures, onward to all the Akim, scattered across the four corners of the earth, doing likewise, shalom, and to the rest of the believers. So yeah, the inner parts of a fool are like a broken vessel, and he will hold no knowledge, and he will hold no knowledge as long as he liveth. So you have some that continuously get told how it go, what their pretty much how well their performance is comes down to, right? What aids to that, what they have to consider for that to be, for them to have a well performance. They'll have all that given to them, and they just, if they're a fool, they won't hold that knowledge. They're not going to hold on to it. It's like a broken vessel, right? Once again, little pieces like this of wisdom that can be completely overlooked, and that's written to be completely overlooked. But these are things that are nonetheless supposed to be paid attention to, examined, right, in detail, and had to be noticed and understood and seen and paid attention to in detail and kept in your frontal in detail for you not to fall victim to this. Verse 15, if a skillful man hear a wise word, he will commend it and add unto it. Sounds like an orchestra, but it says, but as soon as one of no understanding heareth it, it displeaseth him, and he casteth it behind his back. Right. So someone that's don't really care about being on beat, how they really come off or whatever, or they just not good at this song. Right? They can't really sing. They're gonna neglect all the things that aid to them being on beat, which is the knowledge, the information that's been given, the protocol, the instruction, how things go, the order to where they can perform great. They'll hear that, and instead of being like someone that will become skillful and commended and, move according to it, add unto it, they'll be displeased by it, as if it sounds horrible to them. They want to rewrite the song, and then they'll cast that knowledge, that understanding, that counsel behind their back completely. As if they want to rewrite a new song, as if the song is effed up. Verse 16, the talking of a fool is like a burden in the way, but grace shall be found in the lips of the wise. So pretty much when you bring this doctrine out, break it down scriptures, you explain certain things, that's when you'll be obviously talking. And if you want to be deemed, one that's talking well or doing that correctly, you have to, once again, keep all of these things in mind. You have to do that. But once again, simply, the fool is not going to mind none of that. So they'll end up just sounding, it'll just sound like a burden in a way. Something that's just bringing you down. It's not really, whatever you consider a burden. Instead of you getting understanding and feeling like you being enlightened, you feel like, oh man, because you're going to have things that people have to live up to, that the knowledge that has to be shared by individuals in this ministry. That's gonna, come off and even sound like a burden, like, oh man, but it's different type of burdens. It's a good burden. The talking of a fool is gonna be a bad burden, like, oh my goodness. Because you gotta even sit through the videos, because we're set for the defense of the gospel. You gotta rebuke people sharply, so you gotta sit and listen to fools, and it's like, man, I gotta sit and listen to this shit. Because I gotta make sure. If you knew, I have to make sure, right? Like, people find out about this dude's out here teaching off doctrine or whatever, right? They really supposed to sit through the whole thing just to see how much they have to correct. Because you could just hear one thing, but, and just correct that and move on, be done with it. But, if you're looking to be thorough, you're going to have to sit through the whole thing. That's burdensome. But once again, it says, but grace shall be found in the lips of the wise. So pretty much when a fool is talking, they don't care that they talk with, no sense, which we're going to get into, to come off like a burden. They don't even consider, they don't care. Horrible song. Playing the song wrong, singing the song wrong. No grace. Right? They inquire at the mouth of the wise. This is verse 17 in the congregation. Because no one wants to deal with a fool, someone that doesn't know what they're talking about. Right? It says, and they shall ponder his words in their heart. As is a house that is destroyed, so is wisdom to a fool. That's the difference between the wise man and the fool. wisdom, the use of the wisdom, the acceptance of the orchestration, the orchestrators orchestration, the lyrics, the stanza for those that know about music and whatnot, the notes that's there that you're supposed to hit at certain times, that you're not supposed to hit, when you come in, when you don't. The use of that, the acceptance of that, and the application of that is what, by each one individual versus that does it, and by the other versus the other individual that doesn't, that does, is the difference between the two, and that's wisdom. So as a house that is destroyed, so is wisdom to a fool. To a fool, and right. And a house that's destroyed, you can't do nothing with that. So that's how wisdom, that's how a fool looks at it. And the knowledge of the unwise is as talk without sense. See that? Because they won't use wisdom. So they're gonna come off not making sense. They're gonna come off screechy. They're gonna come off like a burden. Because they refuse to use wisdom. They refuse to play the beautiful stone that's been laid out. They want to come in at different times when they're not supposed to hit. They don't want to follow the orchestrators orchestration. They don't want to get with the program. They can't dance to the beat. Right? So it's going to come off horrible. When they, once again, that's just, spiritual talk for when one is bringing his doctrine out. When one is just simply talking about anything, trying to share something to another. It's going to sound like talk without sense. Doctrine unto fools, because they refuse to accept the doctrine, is as fetters on the feet and like manacles on the right hand. No one wants to be in slavery. That's how they feel. That's how a fool feels. They feel like the doctrine, is like slavery. They don't want to be in it. They don't, who wants to be in prison? Who want to feel like that? No one, they don't want to deal with it. No one wants to deal with that. So that's how a fool looks at doctrine. Verse 21, learning is unto a wise man as an ornament of gold and like a bracelet upon his right hand. So that goes back to the original point, which was what? Pretty much when the song is, coming off well, how it was written perfectly, is determined by each individual that's in the orchestra. And they all have to be subject one to another. Because this is a time where he's not supposed to be playing, but he's supposed to come in right on point. I mean, right at that moment. Right? Or this person's supposed to come in and aid this. This bass line is supposed to kick in right when this is playing, or this is supposed to go away. But you got some. Now imagine if no one wants to do it, and then you have the song being perfect, right? But imagine those that don't want to do that. That's basically the equivalent of dudes that just don't want to deal with the order on how they are going to make sense, on how the sheep are going to be edified, or how we're not going to waste time, or how we're going to fulfill our lots. Even on down to, that's basically it. All right. Only 144,000 can learn that song, man. So, and the main reason why this is the case for this individual is because they don't want to learn. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to deal with that. Only the learning man deals with it. But anyway, last scripture, Ecclesiastes 7:5. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. So you rather hear somebody cuss you out than hearing somebody play the song horribly. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, right, screeching, it says, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. So I just get that, the link with that. No one wants to hear screeching, right? Anything that comes out of a fool mouth, it's like screeching. So with that, Kahalam La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Wahara Kakodash. It may be harsh, make sound however, but it's truly due to wisdom It's the reality that's going on. It's due to wisdom that's being overlooked. Shalom.